This episode is brought to you by climate change. Let's not do anything meaningful and make movies about it. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Podcast Assemble, the show where you come for your rambling, geeky download. My name's Tommy and I am delighted, as always, to be joined by my friend and co-host from across the pond. It's our resident sexy cowboy meteorologist of the pod, DL. How are you?
Howdy.
Hard to say that,
mate.
Meteorologist.
Sexy cowboy meteorologist of the pod DL.
That's a lot of things.
It is.
Is that like PhD?
I mean, I don't know where
it all comes before
I
your
don't know
title.
where you find the time to be a meteorologist and to work the fields. You know, work the cattle.
and be a YouTube star.
You know, like lassoing looks hard.
I mean, you need
So
a
like
lot of
that
upper body
seems
strength.
like you need to put some practice in. So there's not enough time in the day.
I mean,
to be honest.
capturing them cows with that lasso would have been
it's
terribly hard. Terribly hard, DL. Obviously, we're talking about Twistersss
Twister
week
with-
because there's things in there we said. Meteorologists, climate change. We've already said things about this movie, but obviously we went back and did Twisters from 1996, I think, a couple of weeks ago.
Twister.
My
This
bad.
is Twisters.
Yes, this is the rebootuation.
Yes.
I've got a lot of things to say about this movie. What do you think?
Look, I mean, it's
It's a movie.
It's there. No, look, Twisters, great sequel name for a rebootuation of a movie about tornadoes, or so someone in Hollywood thought.
Yes. Right. We're doing great movie titles at the moment, aren't we? The Bike Riders.
I don't know, man. From director, Lee Isaac Chung. You may know him from really not much. Maybe an episode of The Mandalorian.
He did that. He
Care to
certainly did
check
that.
directors.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
There's a lot more interesting stuff about the people who wrote this movie than the actual director, which I find fascinating.
Is that true? Huh?
Yeah. What have you been up to, buddy? What's been happening?
Not much, man. The wife's away, so
Ooh,
time to play some westerns on the TV.
Absolutely.
So get my westerns in.
Play some video games. for
Yeah,
once.
she's on the weekend away, so I tune in to Fallout.
You can absolutely tell we've hit past 30, and mid 30 for me. when the partner goes away and all you want to do is sit down with some good video games.
I mean, to be fair, I'll do some drinking too. But
of course.
yeah, I did buy myself a little. I would do that with her there, though. To be honest,
True.
I bought myself a little sake for this weekend.
Stop. You
do
didn't
some
bring it
sake.
over?
No, I didn't. No,
And you didn't call me while you were buying it. That makes me really upset.
like last time. I bought a lot of sake that time.
For anyone who hasn't heard our 150th episode, when we had a little skit at the beginning of all the outtakes, there's a bit where I think you must have been on the phone to me and you thought you'd hung up when you didn't. And you were like frantically trying to buy sake in this shop. You're like, have you got any sake? Like,
No one ever had it, dude. I had to go to a really cutty place to get it. I think we probably talked about this, but
imagine bad sake.
yeah. But no,
Ugh.
other things that happen when wives are away, like lots of, masturbating and the like. What else happens? I mean,
On Bondi Beach.
yeah, not on Bondi Beach, and definitely not to Glen Powell, as good looking as he is.
I mean, I would.
Yeah, I cannot. He looks too much like a mate.
He does look
Yeah,
like
he
your
looks like a
mate.
Shane. Yeah,
Shane, that's
can't-
right.
can't
Bloody
do it.
hell.
Couldn't
From your
couldn't in
book,
good
Stag
conscience.
Party.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Don't tell him
Connections made.
that. Don't tell him that. Jesus,
I know.
he's already got a big enough
I
head.
know, it's too bad.
And an Instagram
It really is
profile
too
where
bad.
he does fitness with his wife.
I haven't seen that.
Oh
and you
my
keep
God.
telling me about that, and
You
I don't
need
know
to
how I
find
haven't
it.
seen it. But there's probably a reason
There's
why.
a reason. Yeah.
I think
We were at the wedding and someone was like,
No one-
was like,
dude.
does anyone know about this Instagram profile? And we were like, no.
Wait. Who?
I can't even remember at this
Oh
point.
man,
Too
too
many
many added me
Vinos.
to a sales chat with a bunch of people that I like, half of which I know and half of which I don't. Called
Yeah.
Sales Are Dope, and it's just a bunch of people that are in sales.
Sounds so cool.
Yeah, and it's basically just a bunch of corporate memes being sent back and
Standard.
forth. But
Stuff we send each
I will
other.
surely add this to the repertoire.
You absolutely should. I'm going to find it for you and send it to
He
you.
basically welcomed it by adding me to this group with people I don't know in it.
Oh, wow.
So I'm for sure gonna just
Well, it would be
rinse.
worse if they all knew.
Yeah,
and
I
you
mean-
weren't in that circle of trust. That would be brutal.
Well,
We've had
yeah.
I had a weird week this week. Actually, as we were watching this movie, we got screwed out of buying an apartment.
that is true.
While we were watching the
That is
movie.
true. Did that affect your view of the
I
movie?
wonder if it did.
It's a bad movie.
I
think you'd always not.
don't think we're ready to say whether it's a good or bad movie just yet. But and look, I'm just up top. I'm absolutely aware of how fortunate we are to be in a position where we might be able to buy somewhere property.
Yeah.
A lot of people can't. I completely appreciate that. But a real estate agent literally screwed us out of buying an apartment. I had signed a document. I'd put a debit down on a deposit, and this guy just sold it to someone else.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
I was in the cinema and I'm like, I get a text. I'm like, What?
Did you give a review yet?
No, I haven't.
I can help.
Yet. I need to help me.
Yeah,
I'd love that.
This is my favorite.
Oh, amazing!
I basically got Gail a new like bag because I just destroyed Qantas.
Amazing.
They broke her bag and then they like said no, and then I just wrote probably like a dissertation.
Did you chat GPT it?
No, this was all.
Oh my
this was
God.
raw, visceral from DL. Dude.
Yes,
and I CC'd in the CEO.
Can you send me that? I'd love to put that in.
I will forward it to you.
That's amazing.
It's pretty wild. Like I went probably 50% more hard than I needed to.
Amazing.
I realized that when I was on my phone reviewing it and I had to scroll like 4 times.
Oh my God.
I was like, oh my God. But it worked.
That guy.
Yeah, it worked, dude. $335 credited to our account.
God damn.
New bag,
Well, maybe we'll connect about this
so
after
let me
the
help
show.
you with this agent
I'd love
review,
that.
dude.
I'd love
I'll
that.
ruin his life.
I jumped on a work call the other day with a friend who I don't get to chat to very often, and he was just like, he was more angry for me than I was, and I'm angry.
Yeah, you weren't happy.
I am like punch a wall angry.
Yeah,
but
that's
he
what
was.
The hole was.
Yeah, no way.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not a cowboy
Armsy,
meteorologist.
mate.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm like. Guys, if you like listening to this banter, feel free to stick around. There will be time codes in the description, as always supplied by friend of the show and editing genius, Mr. Matthew Bliss of blissery.fm. And if you're looking at your podcast, or you're looking at your phone right now and your podcast app of choice, it'd be really nice of you if you give us a 5-star review. You've given us a 5-star review this week, haven't you?
I did, yeah. From a new profile.
New profile?
Yeah, I'm a
Which one is
bot.
it this week?
Yeah.
D-Reezy?
No, Demon.
All of
Demon.
all of our likes are from, all of our 5-star reviews are from Dre. We've actually crept up a little bit. I was looking on Spotify the other day. I think we're up to like 16. So the more you can give us, the better. That's how we get new listeners.
Yeah.
We really appreciate you. And pass the pod on to a friend. If you know someone who likes this kind of geeky nonsense, shit chat like this, feel free to pass it on to them. Give them the gift of Podcast Assemble. It helps with algorithms and stuff we don't understand. We'd love it if you would. DL.
Yeah.
What have you been up to, buddy?
Well, I tried that show.
Which one?
The Black Box Show.
Oh,
What's it
Dark
called?
Matter.
Dark Matter.
The Black Box Show.
I mean,
Yes, that's what it's
the
called.
name was like so unoriginal
It's
that
generic,
I couldn't even.
yeah.
Look.
Ooh, what do you?
I
what do
wish
you
it
like
was
about
better.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like 5 episodes
Oh
in.
wow, you've really persisted.
Well, I mean, like I just like have it on as background to be
Okay.
honest, as I like
Mhm,
do
mhm.
some work or whatever. And like it's not really that kind of show that you should do that with because it's kind of like sci-fi, but it's also not much more than the trope
No,
that it is. So I kind of can because I get it.
I can't remember how well I prefaced this to you last
Yeah.
week. This was definitely more of the partner's choice than mine.
Yeah,
As
yeah, I
in,
know.
I was down.
Don't try and distance yourself.
No, I was
Don't
down,
try and distance
and
yourself.
I was
understand.
happy to finish it.
Yes, yes. Well, I mean, now that I've put 4 down, I'm
You
like,
got to.
eh,
I think it's only 8 though, so I think you'll be fine.
okay. I still haven't watched the last episode of The Gentleman. I need to do that.
What?
I know. I've been saving it. I just watched the one before. So
I
that's
actually
that.
didn't like the ending of The Gentleman.
You didn't?
No.
Okay, well, let me finish the last
You finish it and tell me.
I'll let you know.
But Dark Matter, I think you're kind of in a good bit where they're trying new worlds and stuff.
Yeah.
Have you got to the world where it's like a pandemic yet?
There's one where there was like a supernova sun. There was one where there was
Okay.
like snow.
The snow
There's
one's an interesting one.
Yeah, where like just it's already been like a nuclear holocaust or something.
Ooh, okay.
No, I don't think anything.
I
With
think the
pandemic.
interesting part about the show is, and you'll find this as you go through, and you might have sort of already clocked this, the way the box decides what universe you are going
it's
to.
your thoughts or whatever.
It's not just your thoughts, it's your emotions too. So,
Yeah.
but not just his emotions,
Whoever he's with.
who you're with, both your emotions get taken into account as well. So there, I mean, my theory, and like, I'm not going to say if this was true or not, but my theory while I was watching it was that he would have to leave her behind at some point because her
He'll never be able to find
one of two
yeah.
things. One, her emotions reflecting the box and stopping him get to where he needed to be. Or he was starting to like her too much and didn't want to lose her, so wouldn't be able to find
'Cause
his
she
way
couldn't
home.
exist
Because
in
she couldn't.
said reality.
They couldn't be together in any way in that reality. So that was my theory all the way through. And I mean, like it might add a bit of spice to you for watching it, possibly.
No, like I enjoyed like that concept.
Yeah.
I enjoy.
Same.
I don't know, man. Like I think that something about a pure sci-fi where it's like this, it's like kind of been done so much that I just
Pure sci-fi grounded in reality is a dime a dozen.
I mean,
It's just the same set over and over and over again, right? Like it's not.
yeah, like I don't know. It was just really predictable the first
Sure.
3 episodes, and
Some weird shit happens towards the end.
yeah. But like I will say that the coolest concept so far is the idea, like the way they use the multiverse trope,
Yeah.
in this way that ties to like the emotional state of the characters
Mhm.
is a really cool application of a familiar concept for the story and the plot. But you know, so far I haven't been like so compelled by like the other characters. Like there's this guy like, and I'm like, they're making it a part of the mystery, like why he is so angry. The black guy, I forget his name.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, shouldn't I just know? Like the mystery isn't that mysterious. Like, shouldn't you just like elaborate on this a bit more? Like, why are you hiding this from me? It actually is affecting the plot.
Interesting.
I think sometimes like shows think like they decide to hide certain things from the viewer or the reader that actually inform.
I don't know if you ever
find
that out either.
Yeah. Anyway, but it's
the one thing I would suggest is what like the final twist, the final second final twist is definitely worth sticking out for. It's different. And you'll go like, I didn't see that coming, even though I probably could have picked it up.
Yeah, like it was well telegraphed.
I don't even know if it's well telegraphed.
I mean, like subtly, like, you know, like the good ones.
Good.
The good twists you should, upon like, you know, rewatch, you're like, I should have caught that. Like that, I think that's the best. I don't know if it comes out of nowhere. If it comes out of nowhere, then it's like not earned. Is my point.
Okay, in this sense, it certainly. I wouldn't say it comes. It kind of comes out of nowhere, but it's not out of the realms of possibility for this show. Okay. So it doesn't feel like it's unearned. It just feels like, oh shit, that's an interesting take on this ending. So I think it's worth sticking.
I mean, I'm gonna finish it. Like, I don't go for the only thing I go like this long into and don't finish is Shogun. Apparently,
did you not finish Shogun?
Dude,
we liked it.
Who can be bothered?
I liked it, man. It was good.
Who can be fucking bothered?
There was. I did spoil it for you, but I know there was no action. Spoilers for Shogun if you've not seen it. I actually watched a fun thing in the last week or so. So obviously we were over in Greece. We spent a bit of time over there in that realm, and we got a bit carried away deep into the mythology of parts of Greece and whatnot. And we watched a show, I think it was on Netflix. It could have been Disney. It's called Alexander, the Making of a God. Now, Alexander the Great, obviously, it's sort of his life story, effectively, or at least up to becoming the Great, as we call him. And that is some wild-ass story. You don't realize how big the Persian Empire was. It was huge.
Well, it's one of the biggest ever.
It was giant. It was amazing. So, and his story of how, you know, like he built his army and just fantastic, super interesting, and how he cut off like the supply lines from Egypt and stuff. I really liked what they did there. Super epic. Only thing I would say is it's one of those where instead of just having a bunch of like historians talk to it, so saying like this is what happened and having a voiceover narrative, they sort of played out the action, and I hated that. I can't
stand it. It's on Netflix. I know what you're talking. I started it.
They're bad actors as well. I hate
they
to
never
say
are good actors. No good actor would take that.
Why
job.
would you?
Yeah, I just can't stand those like reenactment.
It's
very 90s.
Very whitewashed as well.
Isn't it?
Yeah, very
it's like 90s thing. That's what they used to do.
Twister. I can't recommend watching this show, but definitely the story of Alexander the Great is super interesting and super impactful.
Yeah. No, if you're into like that kind of like level of history, you should keep watching. You should definitely keep reading Red Rising. There's a character, they've kind of referenced him.
Okay.
And I don't think I'm spoiling anything by telling you this. You know, Tactus's brother,
kinda.
They talk about him, but you never meet him.
It's been a while.
You meet him later.
Okay.
And he's just the most fun character ever.
Nice.
Because it's just like he's like this caricature of like that era, and is always dropping all these like historical references to like battles of Alexander the Great, and it's just like really fun.
There you go.
So keep reading.
I like that idea because Tactus was a good character, if I remember correctly.
Oh, Tactus was interesting. I didn't find him interesting. I found him interesting for Darrow because he's like a foil kind of.
Okay.
But his brother is one of the best characters in the series.
Well, I'll get excited for that whenever I pick it up. You would love this. I picked that book up to start reading it last weekend on Saturday. I was gonna walk to the park, spend 2 or 3 hours in the park reading the book, and my partner called me out of the blue, and she was like, "Hey, let's go and get lunch," and I was like, I'm right here. I'm on the precipice of starting this. And I was like, but I am hungry. So we went and got lunch.
Well, it's a tough start, dude.
Just got.
It's not going to like, I would say for that one, like make sure you're like, a nice happy park would be helpful because
the third in the series,
the beginning is tough.
I mean, the ending of the second one was
my point
tough.
is like, it starts in a dark place.
Oh my God. Oh yeah, of course he's been captured. So, spoilers for Red Rising series. Anyone hasn't read it. Anything else you've been up to?
Yeah, dude. I mean, what else have I done? I started the last book of Red Rising.
How far in are you now?
I'm like 3/4 through.
This is the penultimate.
I only started
like
a week ago, man. I blew through it.
You love blowing.
I love a good blow.
You love a suck zone.
As the suck zone and the blow zone are where I try and operate. There was no suck zone references. Anyway, we'll get to that.
There was one.
There was a single suck zone.
We will get to that.
Almost like an ode.
But do you like the book?
I was thus far. Yeah. I mean, of course I like it. I love this world. But I think there's just a couple things where you're like, we've done this before.
Okay.
But the part where I'm getting to,
like this whole movie is going to be that.
No, the part where I'm getting, yeah, fair enough. I mean, that is true.
We've done this before.
The part that I'm getting to now is making it all pay off because it's like a different lens. It's refreshing enough and honest enough about the fact that it's kind of being like rehashed that you're like, okay, like I appreciate this for what it is. And I'll say this, like he's slow. The part I thought it wasn't going to be as slow. Like I thought it was going to keep being fast. And then like the middle, it just like slows way down.
Oh,
the beginning is like really fast paced and the middle slow in a way that's like super enjoyable and like builds character and builds to the moment that I think I'm going to read now. So I'm pretty excited about it.
The thing we said it needed to do.
Yes. Like, because it was like coming from the last book.
Do you think he listens to our podcast?
No, I don't. I think he's like really cocky because he should be because he's written a really pretty cool.
And a lot of people have probably read it.
The fifth book or whatever it is, I forget whatever. Yeah, the fifth one is like so intense and fast the entire time.
Okay.
And this one starts that way. And I was like, oh, I don't know if I can do this again.
More of this.
And then it like, thank God for like the, second and third parts or acts. It's like slows down. But yeah, I'm loving it.
Did they have tornadoes for breakfast, lunch, and dinner in that book? It just never stopped.
Cannot speak to the weather patterns of the book without spoiling things, so I won't.
Okay, obviously you recommend the Red Rising series. We've talked about it enough times. I will get there eventually. Friend of the show, Matthew Bliss of Blissfree.fm, actually wrote in this week and said how much of a fantastic time he'd had reading that book. And we had an interesting...
Did he read it after
he's finished the book series, I believe. Nice. So we had an interesting question from... Well, posed by myself, actually, but with friend of the show, Kyle. And I wanted to get your thoughts on this.
Kyle.
And this is speaking of books, obviously, as we are in book chat right now, which is where we're at. So the question was, for context, this is me. For context, I really did not like the Dune book. So the book, and like, I completely understand, it's of its time. It was the first of its nature. But the movie's bloody fantastic. So my question is, what book or book series would you like to see attempted to be written or written as a rebootuation or even a reboot of by a different author? So my idea is I would love to have seen the Dune series written by, for example, George R.R. Martin, because a lot of the Dune book series is politicking and it's a lot of the background stuff. And even George R.R. does fantastic action. I'd love to see his take on a sci-fi epic as well. So that's the question I posed. What are you thinking?
It's a hard thing to answer because it's like you almost feel like you're doing a disservice to the author by saying they didn't do it. You know what I mean? Like I think it's really hard to do. But I would say probably Harry Potter.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Who would you like to see write it?
Who would I like to see write it? It's nothing about her writing it's more about like the maturity of she's a great writer. She's great at characterization.
Yeah.
I just wish she would wrote it not just for the tween audience.
Sure.
I would be happy with a darker version of this where it goes farther one way and more mature themes. We only get that a bit.
Yeah, okay.
To be honest. And like the kid, they talk about snogging, but it's like it's kids,
Yeah.
So I would say really any author that's gonna explore that in a more intense way, whether it's
intense. That's an interesting word for it.
Seriously, like if there was a dark wizard and Lord, I'd want him to be more like the vibes you get when you see like Melisandre when doing the deepest, darkest shit in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, right.
Than like Voldemort, who we kind of get moments of that, but I want it to be like gnarlier.
You want to see the dark stuff?
I want to see it. I want to, if this
you
guy's
like
a threat,
the dark stuff,
the
chocolate starfish.
You're going farther than I want to go.
Well, look, let's pose this to the listeners.
Yeah, you tell me, anybody, really.
Let's pose this to listeners. If there's any book series or even like movie, like you would like to have seen it directed by a different director, we'd love to know what you guys think. Hit us up at podcastassemble or thepodcastassemble@gmail.com. We'll give you all that in just a minute. The final thing I did before we move on this week, DL, was I made a mistake.
I know. It's tough.
I watched a movie by least favorite director of the show, Ari Aster. Now,
you can't blame me this time.
No, I can't. I can't in the slightest.
Own your shit.
Well, okay. I'm not blaming you in the slightest. So, like, this movie, it's called Dream Scenario, and it has a really fucking interesting premise. And I really like the idea of it. I've seen trailers before. The trailers look great. In fact, it's Nick Cage at his absolute wild best, which then to go on and say the movie sucks is really hard because I love Nick Cage.
Okay, let's get to the point. I'm curious where this goes.
So dream scenario, the concept of the movie is that there's this generic, bland, average professor in some American university.
It's new.
Yeah, it's new enough. We watched it. You can stream it. We paid to stream it. It's like $2 or something. And he starts showing up in his students' dreams. But it turns out that he isn't just turning up in his students' dreams. It is like an epidemic. He is in everybody around the world's dreams. So he becomes this kind of weird semi-celebrity out of nowhere. And he's not getting anywhere in work. He's not, publishing books or anything. So this gives him the push he kind of needs to get into the spotlight so he can do those things. But there is a really interesting twist on it where it takes a bit of a dark turn. And it's like, I think like 60% of this movie is really interesting and really good. It's how the fame goes to his head, how he does some weird shit that doesn't quite vibe with his character previously, how fame sort of twists him a little bit. But then it's just so squandered. The ending is just so nothing. And it's just like, it's so dull. Me and the partner were sitting there like, what the fuck is this?
This is actually not Ari Aster for directing and writing. It's he produced it. But
right.
I can see why you were intrigued.
Like
it's got Nicolas Cage.
It's Nick Cage. It's an interesting premise.
It's a weird premise for sure. Yeah, it's weird.
But it's about that sort of like what happens to you when you sort of like instantly become a celebrity. I'm thinking, girl. Like
you mean how it changes when you get like made a celebrity for like no merit.
Right.
Like just for some
this is that
circumstance. Yeah,
precisely.
Yeah.
And like, it's a cool concept. I like what they were going for here, but my God, it gets so dull towards the end. And how they squander this, I literally have no idea. There is so many directions they could have gone with it. There's so much they could have done, but by the end, it just goes like, I'm like, oh my God, Ari Aster, man, just stop being so boring.
I don't think you can blame him. All he did was write the check.
Fair.
Yeah, it's some other guy named Christophe.
I think just having Ari Aster attached.
Christopher Borghili.
I can't watch an Ari Aster movie. It's like the guy who...
Dude, have you seen the other ones?
Oh my God.
You got to watch the good ones. Why? How can you just why do you keep watching the bad ones?
Because this had a good vibe. I like the look of it. It had a good IMDb score.
There's like two that are like heralded as some like heralded as two of the like best horror movies ever made.
Yeah, well...
So, like, I would just go watch those.
Maybe that was an accident.
Nicolas Cage produced movie. Like,
I can't watch horror movies. The partner won't watch them with me. So, I look, as a concept, I would say check out Dream Scenario. But as like a finishing the movie, I can't recommend it in good conscience. Guys, if there is anything we haven't talked about or any recommendations you have that you'd like us to watch or talk about, like I say, hit us up at podcastassemble or thepodcastassemble@gmail.com. We've also got a website where you can find our details. It's www.podcastassemble.com, or just go on YouTube. We've got that channel there where we post stuff occasionally. I will promise start posting again very soon. I'm working on new things. That's just Podcast Assemble on YouTube. Hit us up. DL.
Yes.
Do you want to preface our main topic this week?
It's the main topic theme.
Yeah, it's Twistersss. With an S. Great, as I said, great sequel name for rebootuation of a movie about tornadoes, or someone in Hollywood thought. I'm going to say, be nice and say, my time is valuable and I'm a very important person, and this one wasn't really worth my time. But, I think...
Just starting with that straight up at the top. I like what you did there.
I think, like, they made the original, like, I don't know, 10, 15% better.
Interesting.
And it's like, I think I've just got a problem with both this movie and its progenitor's general presence. Like, I don't see the fundamental story. I'm like, what? Why do we
need
there's
this?
Not like why? But also, like, why do we need the second one? Because it's basically the same movie.
Right.
So that's my summary.
Well, do you have a dumb plot summary on that?
I do.
Go on.
Although, like, I'm sure yours is going to touch on that. Mine's a bit.
Mine's very simple this week.
Bland female lead's youth ends in tragedy despite her tornado whispering powers. Also, I learned that tornado school is a thing.
Is it?
Turns out all she needs in her life is a hunky cowboy who knows his way around some meteorological buzzwords. That is this movie.
Mine's a little different. Mine's just highway to the suck zone.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Nice.
I couldn't.
Nice.
I knew you'd do a better job of summarizing than me, so I just went with that.
I'm all about the highway to the suck zone.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned this is Lee Isaac Chung before he directed, an episode of The Mandalorian. That's about it.
But also Minari. whatever that is.
Right.
Something you probably have
there's
heard
a few other projects in there. I
Yeah.
mean, he's the classic person to take on one of these type of
Shitters.
movies at
Yeah.
the moment. But I didn't realize that the original was actually written by Michael Crichton, who you will obviously know as writing Jurassic Park.
Yep.
I had no
The
idea he
book.
did that. And a lot of these characters are based on his characters, which is really interesting. And
What?
Joseph Kosinski, who directed Top Gun Maverick, was the writer of this film and was on to direct apparently until the scheduling went too long for him, so he couldn't commit to doing it. Which I find kind of. I mean,
I can see why.
He's the guy for rebootuation.
I can see why.
Him and Glenn,
Yeah.
they're the guys.
I can see why.
They're the guys for this.
Yeah.
And as a cast, this is a very top-heavy cast, I would say. Outside of Glen Powell, it is really even the female lead, who
Especially the female lead.
Daisy Edgar-Jones.
Yeah.
There was just nothing memorable
She wasn't
about
like a
the rest
bad
of the cast.
actress, to be honest.
I'm not saying anything bad about them.
Wasn't,
I'm
'cause
saying
I was like trying to think about it. Like, was she bad? No, I just it just wasn't.
I just think she
much.
pales behind Helen Hunt, who had a fantastic lead performance in that first movie. She was spunky. She had a great go-do attitude. This one's just like
Kind of
a horse whisperer.
She's kind of boring.
Like for tornadoes.
Yeah.
So dull. I even like Javi, who's like the old friend who becomes a corporate shill, is like not that
The
interesting.
characters they give the most time to are like the ones I cared least about, minus Glen Powell. I really liked his crew around him. I was like, give me more of them.
Let's talk about that.
I mean,
let's
like-
talk about that. I've got thoughts about that. We'll come back.
Maybe
to
it's
that
not
one.
better than the original, but it was better than what they gave us alternatively.
Well,
Yeah.
I think that's a problem, right?
Yeah.
You are comparing it to that original movie, and that's my problem with this too. Like
Yeah.
Philip Seymour friggin' Hoffman's in the first one. You know what I mean?
Barely.
Like you've got like this awesome like side cast who are bigger characters than the main couple, which we did talk about when we talked about Twistersss. Go back and check it
Yeah.
out from a couple of weeks ago. But in this, they're all just kind of a bit bland, and they're just sort of like wallpaper.
Why does this movie exist? That's the real
because
question.
Glen Powell is charming as fuck.
Yeah, like literally, that is the only.
That's
reason.
the whole point of
Yeah,
this
Somebody
movie.
sold him like the dream on that.
So what you're saying is effectively that disaster movies aren't back?
I mean, no.
I think this one.
I
This
wouldn't
one's the
say
best
they're
one we've seen in a long time.
I wouldn't say they're not back. I just when's the last? I don't know. What
had
Quiet
a
Place,
good
does that count as a disaster movie?
not this type of disaster.
Yeah.
Well, they did Independence Day Resurgence a little while ago, which was crap.
I didn't
which no
know.
one watched.
Didn't even know. Yeah.
Interestingly, there are a couple of people in this who I think I want to call out as. I just wanted to call them out. There was one person who was oh my god, who is that? Who was Sasha Lane? Who was Lily, the one who had the drone?
Mhm.
You know, in the movie, we both like, who is that? She's from the Loki TV show. That's how you know her. That was really winding me up for a long time. And the other one I want to call out is it has. So you remember the corporate shill's mate, the one with the glasses, who was a complete douchebag. the whole
Yeah,
movie?
he played that well though. I kind of
That's
liked him.
David Corenswet, who is our new Superman.
Oh, okay. Didn't know that.
This
but-
must have been filmed a while back because he is jacked for the Superman role. He is like hench, and he was super weedy in this.
Well, they just like put him in like corporate garb. Maybe they like dressed him down.
maybe
made
they
it
did.
baggy.
Maybe they
Yeah.
maybe they gave him thinning clothing
Yeah,
and dressed him in all black.
yeah.
So you don't think disaster movies are back?
I don't know, man. I haven't watched any other than this.
Do you think this is a bit vanilla?
It's just like it was boring, dude.
Yeah,
Other than like Glen Powell scenes, which like he got by on sheer enthusiasm.
I feel like his charm really carried
Yeah,
the
like
movie.
that was the only reason. Like I was just bored. I got bored. I was like more interested in your like text to your realtor,
which really fucking soured with this whole movie. So the whole movie basically kicks off, and like I want to talk about this up top because you and me said the same thing the moment the movie started. So the movie starts with a younger Kate, Daisy Edgar-Jones, and her team. So her team, obviously, has Javier, we talked about before, and three others who seem really interesting, and they're her like college buddies. They're trying to get this grant, but
yes,
one of them is her boyfriend. And you and me looked at each other, and we were like, "Hang on a minute."
he going down.
I've never seen something more obvious in my whole life. The whole marketing is Glen Powell being all sexy with this, with the second lead.
He's not living.
And you're like, at least he's going to die.
Would
here.
bet the mortgage he did not last that scene.
Right.
Which he didn't last the scene.
And in the vein of a Twister movie, tragedy befalls our main female lead in the first scene of the film.
Her school project
Her
didn't
whole
do enough.
squad got murdered.
Yeah, I was shocked at everyone. Minus Javier. And then he's like, later.
He was sat in the truck.
He was at the truck like a mile back doing the data thing because like apparently they still need data.
That's how you do.
Yeah. And
it's like wild.
He's like, later he like comes back. Like, I'm getting ahead of us a bit to like,
not the boyfriend, Harvey.
No, Harvey. Yeah, it's not a zombie movie. Comes back to like pitch her on going back into the game or whatever.
Well, that's the crux of the movie.
Yeah, that's that's like the inciting incident. But like, and he's like, by the way, like, how did you ever think about like how we survived? And I'm like, well, I don't need to think about how you did, dude. You were 3 miles back. What? The audacity.
You were nowhere near the
Harvey,
action.
the audacity. The audacity, dude.
It's like, Harvey, stop.
Yeah, like she like took that really well. I would have been like, bro, like.
Well, the thing I thought was interesting about this film straight off the bat was I thought that first scene was quite affecting, and I was a bit like, it was
intense. They just died.
And it gave me. I was like empathizing with the Kate character. I was like, oh my god, like that must be really hurtful. And then she goes away into like some corporate job, and she's just an asshole. There's no empathy to her. She's just turned into a douchebag. She's working in New York City.
Why was she an asshole? What did I miss?
Well, when Harvey comes to try,
she's not like she's not answering her mom's phone calls.
She's not talking to her mom.
Yeah,
that's what pisses me off.
That's fair.
Call
what did her
your
mom have
guys.
to do with it?
Exactly, and her mom's fucking great. See you later in the film.
Like, yeah, she's good.
She doesn't have the gravy though.
No, but she does have the barbecue.
Does have the barbecue.
The
one thing you wanted to carry over from the first movie was the gravy.
Yeah, and you can
maybe the
get
barbecue
some
has the gravy.
Barbecue,
right? You can have both
mash and gravy and barbecue. It's all food groups. I don't know. I'll say this about our old lass, as I called her, ostrich face, which is quite rude.
That's
actually,
really mean.
It's really.
She did have a
rude.
long neck,
but she's pretty. Like it's just like there's like a
there's a lot of
the way
neck
like
to
an ostrich is pretty. Like it's impressive. It's an impressive thing.
I've never seen a pretty ostrich. We're learning so many things.
I don't know, dude. Like I don't know. I just think that like
never watch Planet Earth.
It's an impressive evolutionary journey that the ostrich went on, dude. It can't fly, but it's gigantic.
Do you sit there with Gail and you're listening to a David Attenborough TV
I'm just
show?
like, give me the Big Bird. Where's Big Bird?
You're like, oh, Gail, I need this cushion.
Turn on Sesame Street for me. No, I'm just saying that like
she's a tall lady.
She's not. She's tall. She's got features that are ostrich-like, and she's still pretty, which is impressive.
I'm jumping at performances.
Sorry,
and this is going to be
digress.
This is going to be really. I don't know. This is bad, but like I really did not connect with that Kate character at all.
No,
she was super bland.
That's what I mean. Like an ostrich can't talk. It can't. It's boring, dude. They can't fly. They're just there and big. She's just there and talking about tornadoes. I don't really care, dude.
What noise does an ostrich make?
Don't know.
Try. Give me an example.
I don't know. That's like a
weird. That's all she said through the whole movie.
That's what I heard.
So odd.
Yeah.
But I mean, like we were kind of semi joking before. I think her vanilla-ness was. I mean, it really bounced off Glen Powell, who was so damn charming in
Agreed.
this.
Like she needed to get in the suck zone more. She was not in the suck
Maybe
zone.
he needs to be in the suck zone more. That's why she wasn't.
Yeah, she wasn't feeling it though.
Well, I think the main core of this comes down to it's a jocks versus nerds movie, as the previous one was. So Glen Powell has his team, and they're all big YouTube stars. They're the bad guys because they're just there to be silly and have fun. Oh my god, never have fun doing science. Where Harvey's team, they're there to try and get data on the tornadoes, right?
And they act as if these things are like mutually exclusive. Right. Like you could do both.
You could.
You both can do this.
Just enjoy yourself.
Yeah, I don't really get it.
Which is what I think the crux of the movie is. They find a way. Life finds a way.
Look, I mean,
it's cool though. It's shot in Oklahoma again, which I think is pretty cool. It's mostly shot on location, and I think there's a big theme of this movie of like disasters and disaster relief and corporate greed, which sort of like flows through, and we'll talk probably a bit more about that in the 3 spoilers we have for this dumb movie. But it captured that like middle America quite nicely, I thought.
Yeah, the soundtrack was especially country.
Oh my god,
I actually did like the country part, but there was also like some top 40 nonsense thrown in that I was like, why is this here? Like it wasn't really uniform, the soundtrack, but it did give the vibe of like that middle America. I give you that. I mean, look, this movie doesn't do all that much different from the original. It has the same vibes.
I guess the only difference between this and the first one was the 2 competing teams were actually competing. So they were trying to get, to the data first. Whereas in this one team's trying to get data. The other one's, he just wants to shoot fireworks up the ass of a tornado.
But they were competing to like figure out who was going to figure out what the tornado tornado to follow. I don't know. The main change is that I think instead of divorce, we get like a tragedy, like as like the thing that like is the crux of our main characters.
Oh, I guess Helen Hunt's dad died in the first one. That's like the first scene.
Yeah, like, but
That's the tragedy. That's the same.
True. It is the same thing.
Same movie.
That is. It's just like they swap a couple characters, and instead of like a well-funded, not really villain, we get like a murky business ethics with some great decision making, not
and
really
that's just
villain,
the YouTube
villain.
stuff.
It's not like they're both like, I don't know.
Yeah. I think the thing that really let this movie down for me, outside of the kind of blandness of it,
even outside the blandness
of it, was that the cast of characters around the main two, there's just no personality. Like, I even remember was it the grandma or the mum in the first one, who they would go to a house and they have the gravy and they had that big scene where they're all together having a good time. Yeah. Helen Hunt's like mother or whatever. I think it was her auntie, actually. Like, I remember that character. I can remember what she looks like. Yeah, exactly. Aunt Beth. Aunt Beth's grits. But like, you know what I mean? You've got no Philip Seymour Hoffman in this. You've not got
you have
the
Danny. I like Danny. Danny was different. They give me more Danny.
Why do you want more Danny?
Because it was better than more of Ostrich. I forget her name. God, I'm being mean. She is pretty. I'm not just. Yeah, I'm just. It's more a testament to like the uselessness of the character.
I just don't think they had much chemistry.
Yeah,
it didn't crackle.
Yeah,
Helen Hunt and old mate Bill Paxton, Pullman Pack, whichever one.
I think the chemistry they had in the original was like above average. Helen Hunt was good.
I thought it was worked for, though. I thought it was earned. Whereas
it was
in this,
earned.
it was just
earned.
like
they put time into it,
smushed together, guys.
No, they I think they gave him a lot of time. It's just I just don't think
wasn't there. It just wasn't there.
I mean, it's like it's. Yeah.
I mean, it's hard when Glen Powell is so goddamn beautiful.
Yeah.
To keep up with that. I'm not going to lie to you.
I don't know. She just wasn't flirtatious at all.
She was
I think that's part of it.
Hard-ass the whole movie.
She was kind of like, there's a couple moments where she was like at the beginning where she was about where they go. But then after that, it was like.
As soon as that dude died, boom, she changed really,
that. Yeah, I don't know. She's just really annoying and apparently good at just reading weather patterns. I need her to help
Literally,
me.
that was it.
Like literally lend your skill set to my iPhone. I can't get the it doesn't get the weather right 2 hours from now, and this girl can read the breeze.
You can see where the wind's taking it.
She's you know what? They could have used her in The Happening.
Oh my God, they could have used her in The Happening.
They would have genocides would have.
She's
been
a weather
avoided.
whisperer. She'd have saved the world.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Mark Wahlberg talking to plastic plant.
That's what they need.
Donnie. The thing I thought was a little bit better about this movie than the first one, I have to say. It's hard not to compare them. I feel like the first one was just like tornado. We made that joke last time. It was like breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then
quite a few
second breakfast, and then you know what I mean. Whereas this, I feel like there was time in between to take stock. They'd go to like the little like the motels to get, and they'd all end up in the same place, and you'd learn more about all the characters you're going through in those little moments, especially when they were helping with after the disasters. I thought helped build the characters a bit, but at least the main characters a little bit better. You got to see sides of them that maybe you didn't get to see when it was, Bill Paxton jumping back in the car to go and chase another hurricane.
100%.
And I guess the main thing about this movie is that at the beginning, they're trying to stop hurricanes. So Kate has this idea, Daisy Edgar-Jones, that if you put, they said it's the same stuff that's in diapers up into a hurricane, you could take out the moisture and effectively kill it. And they fail and everyone dies, obviously, in that first scene. But like, I think that's part of where this movie evolves to. Like in the first one, they were just trying to get data on hurricanes.
And they have
in
this
one
now. Yeah.
They're trying to cure hurricanes.
They are.
They are trying to cure hurricanes.
Do we not really know what creates tornadoes?
I mean, probably. It's probably air pressure and heat.
Well, no, like I remember as a kid growing up, like learning about it.
All about the suck zone.
Yeah.
When it happens in your neighborhood, that's God sends a tornado.
To stay inside and avoid the suck zone.
Were there any action scenes that stood out to you in this? Was there anything that you were like, oh yeah, that was quite good? Outside of the big fire tornado from the trailer. Even that wasn't that good.
No, that one sucked.
That was so dull.
I thought it was kind of cool, like how they had it, like the movie theater like blows out and it's like looks like a movie. Yeah. But I'm also like, what are the odds of that?
Now, that's actually a callback to the first one. In the first one, they have a tornado which goes through like a drive-in theater, and I remember this because they were playing. I think they were playing. It's either Psycho or The Shining. Yeah, Shining. It's a callback to that. Weirdly, they have such weird callbacks to that first movie without actually really referencing it all. Except like Dorothy's back. Dorothy was the set of microbe things that went up into the hurricane in the first one.
So it is in the same universe.
It must be in the same universe. Absolutely.
I really like the first scene. That was like that was pretty intense. And I was like, okay, setting the tone. But after that, it was like,
yeah, it didn't quite hit the heights of the first one, I'll say, especially in action, or even, I mean, the first one was so action-packed that it was tough to take your eyes off, whereas this, it definitely gave you more time to reflect and let the characters build. But I don't think that helped somehow. How is that? We complained about this thing that we wanted, and when we get it, it makes it worse.
I don't even like the first one. But I think that's the problem. Like, the premise for me is like, dude, like tornadoes are like pretty, you know.
We should do a disaster movie.
It's not that big a deal. Just like, don't live in Tornado Alley.
I mean, isn't that just
like, don't do that.
You know, last week when we were maybe even the week before, we were talking about stupid decisions in movies that they kind of are like, they're kind of pushed towards to make the movie happen. Yes. Where maybe it doesn't necessarily make sense.
I need a better premise. That's my point.
Give me some, like, why live in this fucking... people
investigate the poverty.
Right.
You made the whole, like, villainous part about money, like, investigate the people that don't have a choice. I don't know. I'm like, why? You know, I'd be in New York, too, being a weatherman. I don't care. Why am I going to go live there?
I don't know how well good a job we've done of describing this fucking movie, but
dude, I mean, they just go measure data again and and they chase tornadoes and Glen Powell shoots fireworks.
I mean, to be fair, it's all in the trailer regardless.
The cool part was the drill.
The drill was
Would
cool.
that work though?
Probably not.
I don't think so.
Especially if the ground's wet. You find that out later. Do you have any tones and themes?
Yeah, I'm giving it quite a bit here.
Me too. Climate change is a big one. In this.
Climate change, obviously, but they talk about it, but they don't actually talk about it much.
Well, they don't do anything about it, and that's what annoys me.
Ethical dilemmas of scientific advancement.
Yeah, okay.
We can talk about that a bit. Like, hey, you know, we're getting like this new data from tornadoes, and how are we using it? Well, spoilers. We'll talk about it later, but it can be applied unethically.
Could be.
Yeah. Same way, like, you know, AI and the Manhattan Project. But those are much bigger things and worth investigating.
There are lots of interesting parallels.
Yeah.
Semi-parallel.
Yeah, just like, you know.
I had just dweebs versus cool kids. There's a bit of that in there too. But then, you know,
they
the
look
bad
like
guy
they're working at Best Buy, dude. Sorry.
Right.
Cut you off.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Do you have 3 best and 3 worst?
Glen Powell's crew.
I had
best
Glen Powell.
And worst, I guess. Glen Powell. The mom who kind of looked like a Muppet. She was good. She had a Muppet.
Looked like a Muppet.
She had a Muppety face.
Why are you being so mean to everyone of this?
I don't know. But she was like one of my favorite parts of the movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did think the chick, the actor who was in the Loki series, Lily, who was played by Sasha Lane, kind of looked like a heroin addict in this.
I think that was like the vibe they were trying to make you think, and then it was subverted. Like, actually, we give free food to the poor.
Right. Well, it's because she kind of like she didn't have any teeth. I was like, is she... You know what I mean?
Like from like Sunshine from fucking...
Yeah, literally, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Bike riders.
Comedies.
I can't believe that's the name of a movie, The Bike Riders.
Oh my God, so bad.
The cyclists. Like, anyway, yeah, no, like, look, I really did like the mom.
I just struggled with 3 best and 3 worst.
Yeah, it wasn't much more than that.
No.
3 worst, dude. Did you not have anything else?
I just had Glen Powell.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the only good thing about this movie.
Just such a safe movie.
Yeah.
Like, not sure why it needs to exist.
This is The Force Awakens of rebootuations. It is exactly the same movie as the first one.
Yeah.
Just rehashed. Just with
that is fair.
With bigger guns. You know what I mean? It's like, why is Gamora? You know what I mean?
No, I get it, but I like The Force Awakens was at least more entertaining.
Oh yeah, I like The Force Awakens, but like it was just A New Hope, and A New Hope is a great movie. So
yeah, also that you're starting from a better foundation,
right. Exactly. Yeah. Whereas Twister was Twister,
and you got like freaking what's his name, Harrison Ford. You got just more actors.
You've got a lot of charm in that movie.
Yeah,
this has good charm. We've talked about the charm.
Yeah.
What are your worst?
Just why does it exist? Same movie, not sure why it exists. Like, you basically made the original like plot 10% better, but like, you know, 20% worse because all the actors kind of aren't as good. So it's like, why is it here? Just go fund cooler shit.
2 steps forward, 1 step.
That's
Sorry, 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you on that. I think it lacks something. It lacks a bit of charisma, and Glen Powell does his absolute best to bring that charisma. I'd say he is 95% of the charisma in this film.
Yeah, he's verging on Ryan Reynolds for me right now, though.
He is.
I'm seeing too much of him.
Well, I wonder if he filmed a lot of shit, like, quite recently, and it's only just coming out. Like the Bike Riders, 100%, for example.
Because he just got, like, he was like, you know, Maverick was so delayed.
Yeah.
And he probably just took a bunch of contracts right after that, and those would all be coming out around now. Makes sense.
Love him. He should do more stuff.
No, that's the opposite of what I said.
He should do something which is, like, super dark and Indian A24-esque.
He needs to.
I think
otherwise
he's
going to be this hangman.
That's
basically what he's been playing for the last 3
that's his character.
Movies I've seen.
I would just say in worst, and I know we've been kind of down on her, but, you know, Daisy Edgar-Jones' character, I don't see it. I don't see this, like, the star power is not there. She isn't engrossing enough as a lead for me. She didn't have enough she played like sulky, almost teenager really well when she was in the New York part, but there was nothing else.
She acted fine, and I don't know if it's just the writing or like, like she wasn't like overacting. She just like wasn't interesting.
Yeah. There was nothing to that character. Very one-dimensional. I think that's all I can really get for best and worst. So, can you guess to me the current IMDb score? You've just seen it, haven't you?
I think I actually saw it, but it should be way lower. It's 7.1.
It is 7.1, which I'm going to have to change IMDb because you use IMDb for your notes.
Well, like I usually try not to look at the score, but sometimes I just accidentally see it.
I'm going to change it. We're going to find a different one for IMDb. Can you guess for me the Rotten Tomatoes score? Right
God, I feel like it's higher than it should be. I feel like it's going to be like a 78.
It is exactly 78.
Wow!
That's two.
I didn't see that one. I swear.
2 weeks in a row you've got that.
That's amazing. I'm getting good at this.
Can you guess? I mean, Rotten Tomatoes is a hard one. Can you guess me the Letterboxd score, which is always 3.6, but never 3.6?
3.4.
3.5.
Oof.
I wonder if, below average kind of, that really resonates with me for this film. Like, not like it, a lot of the things are there to make this a good movie.
This should be like a 3, to be honest, but I just know that it wouldn't be.
Glen Powell. Yeah. That's why it's not. All right, finally, what we do is we do our rating system, which is this better or worse than Aquaman 2018, the most average movie we know, and why? And I'm also going to twist this and throw at you at the same time. Is this better or worse than the original?
This is worse than the original.
Interesting.
And it is worse than Aquaman 2018.
I'm with you 100%.
A rare worse from me.
A double worse.
A double worse.
And a movie that could have been good if they'd have... I don't know, actually, I'm really clutching at straws.
I just don't think it needed to exist. Like, Aquaman needed to exist. I can't watch Vinny Chase's Aquaman. It's fictional.
That's true.
No one's made a good Aquaman movie ever, and no one's made a recent Aquaman movie before 2018.
If you'd have made that Vinny Chase one, I'd definitely watch it.
But you get my point. I understand why they made the movie.
Yeah,
this is just kind of like, I understand why they made the movie, but I don't care to watch it.
I did love the first Twister movie. I'm not gonna lie.
I just don't like Bill too much.
You really didn't like Bill. Yeah. Isn't it weird that the lead male in this, it's flipped? You hate him in the first one. He's the best one of this one.
I guess, yeah. It's not that I hate it. I think he's like he's just so 90s for me.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just do very quick spoilers. There's only like a couple of things to really talk about, but one of the things I wanted to say to you was, and I was convinced there would be at least a cameo in this from someone from the original. Obviously not Bill Paxton, he's dead, but R.I.P. Any of the rest of the cast? Oh, actually, no. Philip Seymour Hoffman's died as well.
They're all dead.
Wow.
Aunt Beth, and she's old, probably dead. That's why it had to be her potatoes.
Well, I think Helen Hunt should have shown up in this. 100% should have shown up in it.
That would have been helpful.
She could have been anything.
Brought more out of
anything in this. Yeah. She could have been like a rival team. It would have been great. You know what would have been great, and would have been a way better twist if she was the corporate shill. She'd been turned and she became the bad guy.
That's terrible.
That would have been a great twist.
Why would she do that? She was like super wholesome.
She hit her dream of finding out all about tornado speeds and whatever the fucking first movie was about. And a good twist would have been she had become so like done with YouTube stars and all that she'd become a corporate shill. That would have been interesting.
I mean, there's more to it than what it is then, what it is now.
At least there's something.
Yeah, I give you that.
Give me something.
I'll give you that.
Well, I guess they cured tornadoes in this, didn't they?
They tried.
They did. The last one, they cured it.
I mean, it still did a lot of damage.
Yeah, I mean,
that's the kind of like even if you
but
can't
not as much damage as it could have done.
Maybe. It seemed to be going away. The only one that was there was the chick that was trying to stop the tornado. Like, otherwise, it was just in the field.
Right.
But so that's she put herself in that situation.
Get it while it's in the field. I mean, that's how you stop the tornado.
It was moving through the town. It was already done with the town.
I think the interesting... So, to frame this then. So, It turns out that Harvey has stopped chasing tornadoes for good optimistic reasons. He has turned and become a corporate shill, as I keep saying, and as part of the disaster relief, the bad guys were profiteering off all of the devastation that tornadoes were leaving. Yeah. And he was part of the team who's helping that on and passing on the information of land and whatnot to the big bad guy who was very nondescript cowboy-looking dude. And Harvey he'd obviously recruited Kate, right? Like, he'd brought her in to help him spot where the tornadoes were going and follow them so they could use his technology to track better where the tornadoes might happen, come and go. And I'm not 100% sure how that technology would have helped the pursuit of shady businessmen stealing land.
There was quite a lot of yada yada there.
Right.
I also went pee during this point. So.
No, but I mean, like, how is that helping? Like, it doesn't matter where it goes. You just go afterwards.
I actually have no clue.
Unless it's a very competitive industry.
I don't really get it. Yeah.
Maybe that's it. Maybe it's super competitive and they need to get there first. Maybe that's the problem.
It was pretty unexplained.
And it turns out that Glen Powell's crew are actually super nice and lovely. And when there is a disaster, they're handing out T-shirts and free food and stuff to keep people, keep people warm in times when they're having a hard time. I actually really think that theme of disaster relief should have been way more explored in this movie. I think that was super compelling.
I think so too. And I think like the ecosystem or economic system situation of the people that it was affecting, you got to like show some of that to make this have any, meaning, make me care. Yeah. Like they just kind of like showed them passing out food and then like, oh, a bad guy's going to buy their property. But I didn't see that happen.
Well, you didn't see any of it. It was very abstractly done. And I found it ambiguously done, really.
Really.
The thing that annoyed me the most was they did not have a cow in the tornado this time. The thing
I honestly missed the cow.
Like I'm the only person in the whole world who missed
think about
the cow.
Like if you actually saw like it and it looked like real and it was like a herd of cows.
It was a really bad CGI cow.
No, but it was a good CGI is my point.
In 1990.
Now.
Oh, you mean now?
I'm saying they needed to upgrade the cow.
Right.
Bring Instead the cow of like back. The That's single burger, I want the double. We need a lot of cows flying.
That's what I'm saying.
And not like just like actually how it was going to look. And then you'd be like, oh, wow.
Bring the cow back.
Man.
Say that though, the way the original crew got sucked up into that tornado was pretty brutal.
That's what I'm saying. I want to see the cows like that.
Right.
I agree.
I don't ever want to see that.
And that's dude, that's a lot of money. Tie that to the business storyline. Like I can understand,
The cows getting sucked in?
Yeah, dude, that's an investment.
In the suck zone?
Dude, you don't want to lose your cows to the suck zone. You don't, dude. That's like your entire livelihood.
It was a little bit, I don't know. I just thought it was a bit tenuous. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I find it interesting profiteering off disaster. I think that's going on horrifically in the world right now. You think about Ukraine, that whole fucking country's been bought up by shady people.
Yeah.
Like, it's interesting. It's an interesting theme. I just don't think it was particularly well fleshed out in the movie. And then when Harvey turns good at the end to help his friends out, it's like, okay, I didn't really see you doing anything that shady in the first place. So
yeah, like you mean you went to work for money?
Yeah, you needed a job to pay for this thing you want to do. Did
I send you that meme where it's like, I think I did, where it's like Aragorn and he's like,
oh yeah, yeah. Instead of a Frodo
from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
It's a scene from like, the Return of the King where he's like, today is not the way men die, and then he charges. He's like, for money. It's like us, like it's like modern humans. Like, oh, that is it's home.
Aragorn, you fell. Yeah. You fell
for money.
It's so true. That was literally the whole point of the movie. Bad. It was profiteer of YouTube, I suppose, which is equally owned by a bad bloke. So let's do some true or true or false. Let's wrap this shit up. There isn't much else to say.
Who owns YouTube? Google. Are they bad?
They're not great. Look into it. Trivia, true or false? Glen Powell's dog appears in the movie. Is that true or is that false?
True.
It's true. His dog is called Hot Biscuit and is both an official cast member and official set mascot, if I can say it.
Nice.
I can't remember where he's in the movie.
I saw a dog at some point. It was
just
in the beginning, wasn't it?
Is Glen Powell this wholesome? What's his dark secret? Is he a vampire as well? Like, what's happening here?
He's just tearing up Hollywood. Probably what he's
tearing
doing.
Up that ass.
Yeah, he's just having fun, dude.
He's out.
I bet you would see him in like Santa Monica on a Saturday.
If he's this wholesome, good for him.
Yeah.
It's nice to see someone actually nice. All right.
I doubt it.
Trivia Hostel. Bill Paxton, who obviously starred in the 1996 original film,
Lad, he did, lad.
Pitched his version of a Twister sequel to Universal in July 2010 with a story involving the science team at an Oklahoma historical black college who used their inventions to stop tornadoes. Is that true or is that false?
Fuck, I hope it's true. That'd be really wholesome of Bill.
It's actually false. Helen Hunt actually pitched it in 2020.
Can't imagine.
Interesting.
Can't imagine.
She really wanted to make a movie, a follow-up to this. So did Bill. There is, we talked about last time when we did Twister, but Bill Paxton actually wanted to make a more R-rated version of the movie where it was more devastation focused. R-rated? That sounds weird.
Yeah. It's like what I wanted.
A more sexy version.
That's what I wanted out of Harry Potter.
Tornado.
Dude. I want to give me the Ginny Harry sex scene, dude. Why can't we have it?
Because they're teenagers.
You didn't have sex when you were a teenager?
No, when I was like 14.
Bro, by the end of it, they're 17. Maybe. Dude, you see Euphoria? These kids are fucking, dude.
All right. That's
they're
what you want.
doing more than that.
That's what you want. You want the Euphoria writers to write Harry Potter.
I don't want it that crazy because that shit was freaking me out, dude. I was like, this is way too far. Our society's gonna crumble. But funny. You know what I mean? Like a little blowy, a
Well,
suck zone.
A little suck zone. A little Harry Potter suck zone. Let's get those tornadoes in there. Let's get those sexy tornadoes in there.
What we don't need is like a George R.R. Martin like penis sex dance. Have you? You never read those books, have you?
I have. I've read up to. You know what I've read up to?
Did you read the fifth one?
I can tell you what I've read up to. I read up to the bit where the Fist of the First Men is. That's where I ended. I think it's the third one.
You didn't finish the third book?
I can't remember. I think I lost it. I think I was traveling.
Best one.
Maybe I didn't finish it.
In the fifth book, there's like this one part where there's just like a menagerie of slaves in Marine, with just that are naked and doing like an erect sexual. They're all having sex in this crazy dance, and that is like I read that chapter. I was like, George, dude. Like this is a whole chapter. I was like, well, it's a reference in the thing, but I was like, this is too far.
That's my limit. That's why he's not finishing it, because you can't fit enough dicks in there.
That's my limit.
We know.
Park, yeah.
It is, absolutely. You can cut as much of that as you want, Matt, the dick stuff. But all right, DL. Trivia false. We really went on a tangent there.
I don't know.
James Paxton, the son of Bill Paxton, actually appears in the movie. Is that true or is that false?
False.
Actually true. He appears during the rodeo scene as an angry hotel guest. Remember the angry hotel guest? The guy who was a dick?
I thought you said there was no nodes to previous.
It's his son. It's a nod. It's not an actual
genetics, dude.
That doesn't count.
I don't know.
That's not him in the movie. He's dead anyway. That's really rude. R.I.P. Bill Paxton. Final one then. Trivia 2, trivia false. In the second trailer for this, at the rodeo, again, we're at the bloody rodeo, Kate Cooper is wearing the same outfit as Helen Hunt's character Joe did in Twisted 1996. Is that true or is that false?
True.
God, that's such a weirdly deep reference. It is true. I don't know why anyone picked that out or why you would. It is true. Ultimately, this movie didn't really need to exist.
No.
I was having fun for about 20 minutes because we were laughing at it, I think. And then it just became the same movie.
Yes.
With a truck with drill bits in it that went into the ground. That was the whole movie.
How long was it?
Long enough.
Yeah. But I'm just like, I guess I'm trying to figure out, did that feel long or was it long?
Did maybe you feel long?
It felt long.
I can't answer that.
No, did I feel long? Did it feel long at an hour and 57 minutes? It did.
2 hours? Under 2 hours?
3 minutes under 2 hours.
Not too bad at all. DL, where can they find us?
thepodcastassemble@gmail.com or podcastassemble on Instagram.
Let's wrap this shit up, baby.
Happy to.
Let us know what you think, by the way, if you've seen it. If you've seen this movie, or if you haven't seen this movie, why didn't you see this movie? And did we do a good job of explaining why you shouldn't see this movie?
I mean, obviously, if they didn't see the movie, they didn't need us. Which is, all the more power to you.
You chose well.
Yeah. A big thank you to Matthew Bliss for editing and mastering this week's episode. Matt, if you'd like to be a part of, if you'd like Matt to be a part of your podcast,
you get that wrong every week.
I don't know why, dude. I'm just like sick. If you want to start a GoFundMe and help me learn to read, that'd be great. If you'd also like Matt to be a part of your podcasting team, get in touch at business@mbpod.com or head to mbpod.com to find out more about his services. He's also got a podcast, Coffee with a Podcaster, short thought pieces on topics of podcasting related,
stuff,
subjects,
things. All wholesome topics. Yes, you should absolutely check that out and give Matt 5 stars while you're there. While you're doing it, giving us 5 stars. Of course, you're giving us 5 stars in your podcast app of choice.
Done it.
We love you all. Thank you so much for giving us them. It's enough to. Is it enough to start a Patreon yet, DL?
Not yet.
Maybe
someday.
One day.
You can hope.
I don't want to sell out like that. It's too much effort.
I don't know. I mean, then I can say some really crazy things.
Oh wow, we could do an unedited version.
In which case, you get the real.
Then you get the real. All right, DL.
Yeah.
Thanks for sticking with it, guys.
Thank you. Until next time.
Tally-ho.